On the 1 and 6 road bridge hearing. Copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the rear of the room, and I would like to introduce the people here. On my left is Commissioner Deb Shore and Commissioner Larry Hudkins. On my right is Vice Chair and Commissioner Todd Wilchin and Commissioner Bill Avery. And we have Engineer Pam Dingman down there. And I am Commissioner Roma Amundson and Chair of the Board. And will you join me now in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you for joining in. And we have assisting us tonight, Dave Durbin from the County Attorney's Office, and also Kelly Lundgren and Dan Nolte of the County Clerk's Office. And we do welcome your participation and attendance. Decisions relating to the building, maintenance, and repair of roads and bridges are significant ones, as they relate not only to the ease, comfort, and safety of the people using them, but also to the economy of the county. We are certain that all of you who are both here in person and who are watching on TV want responsible decision-making, and please be assured that we will listen carefully to all testimony. Therefore, in order to provide all participants who would like the opportunity to present their points of view, we are following this process. People who plan to speak must have signed in with the county clerk prior to the hearing. In the order of the sign-in, every 4 people will be asked to come forward to be sworn in to give their testimony. Each presenter will be allowed 5 minutes to present their testimony, although I, as chair, do reserve the right to either extend or to reduce that time. Once finished, please take your seat in the audience. Each speaker will immediately follow the other. Once you have made your statement and answered any questions that the commissioners may have of you, you are finished with all further engagement with the commissioners. No time for rebuttals or additional information from the floor will be allowed. As mentioned, 5 minutes will be allowed for the presentation of testimony per person. We anticipate many speakers, and we want to ensure that everyone has equal opportunity to speak. As chair, I do have the discretion to allow a speaker to finish a sentence within the middle of it. We do ask that when you identify yourself, you also state where you live. Courtesy and respect will be extended to all people. Everyone has a right to speak his or her mind and will be allowed to do so in a courteous manner. Appropriate language will be used at all times. Should a person use inappropriate language, testimony will be immediately halted and the person will be asked to leave the hearing room. No questions will be directed to either the commissioners or to the engineer during the hearing, and if you have questions of either, those questions need to be answered after the hearing. This is a hearing directed towards the roads and the bridges. Any concerns other than roads and bridges are strongly discouraged. All verbal testimony will be done this evening. Any additional information needs to be submitted in writing. At this point, we can begin.
Good evening and welcome to the 2017 Road and Bridge Construction Program public hearing. I am County Engineer Pam Dingman. Tonight I would like to begin by talking to you a little bit about shift in focus at County Engineering. Although we of course remain focused on roads and bridges, 3 years ago when I took office, I promised you as the citizens of Lancaster County to focus more on efficiency, modernization, and pavement. This quest has left for changes of many of our procedures and policies at Lancaster County. We have been requested again and again to do more with less, and I'm proud to tell you many things that we have accomplished in that area tonight. But first, I would like to talk about the training that has taken place in Lancaster County. Many of my employees who are dedicated to Lancaster County had worked for 40 years or more at Lancaster County without a single day of training on the job. Thankfully, to Nebraska Department of Roads and the Federal Highway Administration, we were able, during the last couple years, to get a lot of money for training. And we indeed did do winter maintenance training, motor grader training, loader training. We were able to attend the Snow and Ice Conference. And in addition, we were able to have on-site training to get to help our employees be better trained, safer, and more efficient in all 4 quadrants of the county. So tonight, I have the honor, and I didn't want to let it go while we were all together, of presenting, and if he could come forward to the podium, presenting Eric Hunt with what is really a great award. So at the Winter Training Conference, Eric rated the #1 in the motor grader competition. So he is Nebraska's champion motor grader operator. How cool is that? So proud of this guy because he actually had a chance to compete nationally with people who practice for these competitions all the time. And I actually did go out to Loveland, Colorado to watch him participate. And I was really proud of how he practiced and how he studied. And I was really proud of how he placed. And so, Eric, if you could help me out just a smidge. In the box next to the podium is your champion jacket. Wow. That I think gives you total bragging rights to all of your coworkers and indeed any other motor grader operator who wants to talk smack, right? In addition to that, though, because this was the first time that the motor grader championship was offered, you are the first name to appear on the traveling plaque of champions. And so I just, we hear a lot about employees who maybe have some issues that aren't so awesome. And I think when we have the opportunity to hear about a county employee who's really going above and beyond and representing our county with such pride and honor, that I really felt I needed to honor you tonight. So I'll also let you know that you don't have to stay for the whole thing if you don't want to.
Well, thank you, and I was honored to represent the county, and it was a very educational participant out in Colorado, so thank you.
Very cool, very cool.
I wanted to talk just a little bit about a few of the other things that we've implemented in the county that you may have not noticed, but I think could make a real difference to you in your life. Google Maps. So if you're to go to the front page of the city-county website, lincoln.ne.gov, at the bottom of the website, you'll see a line that says street closures. Now, I don't know if unexpected street closures frustrate anyone else in the audience, but I'll tell you, I drive in this county and city too, and once in a while I drive upon one that is a surprise to me. But since the flooding, Lincoln and Lancaster County have begun to work together for the street closures map. And if you click on that link, you can see all closures within Lancaster County. That map is typically updated every 15 minutes throughout the day. You can hover over a closure and get the details on that closure. And so our hope is that that will help you route your drive before you start and have that frustration of an unexpected closure. In addition to that, this last year, we purchased additional GPS surveying equipment. And I would really like to note that this equipment has allowed us to reduce the surveying staff by 3 full-time FTEs through natural attrition. This equipment has more than paid for itself in the first year, and the department is now doing 2 to 3 times the survey that it had done in previous years due to modernization alone. But this isn't the only place where we've implemented GPS. We also implemented GPS in our radio systems, and we now are able to track the location of our equipment and our personnel without paying a data cell phone charge. So this is a savings to you as a citizen, but in addition to that, that tracking and implementation of that system saved us in the last year as taxpayers 36,000 gallons of fuel. 36,000 gallons of fuel, that's significant. But in addition to that, it gave us the additional security that if somebody comes upon a surprise or an emergency on the road, and it actually has been used more than once now, there's a red button that can be pushed on their radio system that will give their exact location and hold the mic open in the shop so that we can dispatch emergency services to that location as quickly as possible. And now, before I go into any more details on the bridges or the budgets, I would really like to ask, I know that this year I invited all of my staff to be present at this meeting, and so typically it's just been managers, but if any Lancaster County Engineering Department employee who's present could go ahead and stand up, that would be great. Don't do it all at once, gentlemen. This is really the team that serves you. This is the team that gets up early in the morning when it snows or stays out late at night when it's flooding. And so I really want to thank them for backing me up throughout the year. We have one other person I would like to introduce, if you don't know him, and that's Mike Brenzio is with us tonight. He's from the planning department. You can go ahead and stand up, Mike. I know you don't like to out yourself, but okay, this is the man. This is the traffic engineer that works in the planning department. So he plans, helps us plan all of the roads and bridges for the city and the county. And he's been working a lot the last year on the LRTP, Long Range Transportation Plan. We like our acronyms in engineering. And so if you have any questions about that or questions that relate back to planning issues, please feel free to talk to Mike after the meeting. So a lot of you may not be aware that the county engineering budget is broken up into 3 separate categories. I have a general fund budget. In addition to that, I have a highway fund budget and a bridge and special road budget. These 3 budgets total $3.6 million a year. $31.6 million a year. I apologize for that. I wanted to talk a little bit about that $31.6 million a year, and how it falls back to the county and what we're doing with it. Currently, if we're to look at the needs of the county and the needs of county infrastructure, those dollars are really only moving us 10% forward a year in what we need in Lancaster County. So as I look at the state of county infrastructure, we would typically consider a bridge that is older than 50 years to need to be replaced. So of those bridges that we have that are older than 50 years, we have 24 that are on spread footings. Spread footings are the bridge type that we've been closing. Unfortunately, I've had to close several of them this last year because once they become undermined and there's no longer soil underneath that footing, I have no way to replace it. So of those 24 spread footing bridges, 6 are also structurally deficient and 2 are functionally obsolete. In addition to that, the other bridge closures that we have had have really been due to failures of timber back walls. We have 41 of those bridges. That's a significant number. Of those 41, 6 are also structurally deficient and 2 are functionally obsolete. This is significant because any of the bridges that I just listed are in need of replacement in the county. In addition to that, we currently have the need for 93 miles of asphalt overlay. We do an inventory of our asphalt every year to determine its condition, and we have determined that 93 miles meet the condition to need to be overlaid. Based on traffic count numbers, and I know that many of you will step forward to the mic and talk to me about traffic on your unpaved roads tonight, we have 32 miles that meet the criteria to need to be paved. In addition to that, we also have concerns with subdivision maintenance. And Lancaster County, as we have continued to move forward and take over the maintenance of subdivisions once they've met the criteria, of course, those roads also are in danger of deteriorating. So as I stated earlier, I am Pam Dingman, the Lancaster County Engineer. This is my contact information. This is my direct line at the county. If you call it and leave a message, that message will be emailed to me and I will return your call as soon as possible. Unfortunately, sometimes I do end up stuck in meetings for an afternoon or a morning, and it is difficult to get all those calls returned right away. If you do call that number and you have an emergency, please press 0 and your call will go to the operator who will handle whatever issue you have with the roads. But you are always welcome to leave me a message. In addition, I put my email up on this slide. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we completed this year, and I am really proud of the staff and all the things that we have done. So some of the new pavement that is complete as we speak, one of the sections is Old Cheney, and we paved the last 3 miles from the edge of the pavement to the county line. I think it opened up just last week. I actually have had a chance to drive this piece, and I have to say, as an engineer, it is almost sexy. There's nothing as nice as a new piece of pavement. In addition to that, we paved a section of Agnew Road. Agnew Road, actually, the little section through the unincorporated village of Agnew had been promised to the citizens for over 40 years. So they're really excited that that has gotten in and opened up. We completed about 20 miles of overlay, including West Agnew Road, Hallam Road, Southwest 42nd Street, South 40th Street, which was an emergency project, Southwest 14th Street, and Southwest 12th Street. In addition to that, and I think I missed this earlier on the line, we do expect that Denton Road and Bluff Road will be open in the next 2 weeks. We kind of are a little bit behind this year because from August through September and even part of October, we seem to be in this cycle where it rained every 3 days, and we really spent the bulk of the summer being dirt farmers. We also overlaid the subdivisions of Silverthorne and Burr Oaks this year. Bridges. So due to the rain, we'd really hoped to have our new bridge, and it's the first bridge that I have had a chance to construct under my term in office. So Bridge X205 is just outside of the town of Firth. We'd hoped to have it open November 1st, but we do have a 3-week delay due to some material problems and some other coordination issues, but we are hopeful that we'll have that open in the next 3 weeks. Bridges that we repaired, and this list is somewhat significant: T171, X9, T177, S65, X30, J126, D88, M23, H207, G2, G144, and G22. Unfortunately, this last year, some of our construction projects were delayed due to the flooding. So, and if you're not aware, I do want to take just a moment to talk about that. Our FEMA claim, which we had approximately $3.8 million in damage to Lancaster County infrastructure. To date, we've been reimbursed around $580,000 of that. I do have in my budget that we would be reimbursed an additional $2.6 million. However, it is November, and I haven't seen that money yet. So at some point, I'm going to have to do exactly what you as citizens would do if there was income that you didn't get, and that's that I won't be able to spend it. I really want everyone to know that there is a good chance that I may have to reduce my bridge repair program as well as my asphalt overlay program should that more than $2 million not come in. But at the same time I'm saying that, I am very proud of the staff in the room and how hard they worked in what was the greatest flooding Lancaster County had experienced since 1908. We have removed all the flood debris from the county right away, and FEMA has inspected us and certified that. In addition to that, we have repaired all of the damaged and washed out roads caused by that flooding. And I'm proud to state that even with federal regulations and jumping through a lot of FEMA hoops, we have repaired 11 of the 13 bridges that were critically damaged in the flooding event. And just so you can get a little bit of an eye of how significant some of this flooding was, if you're to look at the top picture that's shown above, it shows loss of embankment of the bridge that we refer to as H207. This particular bridge, and you'll note the power pole that's up by the top of the bridge, that power pole has actually been moved back in the embankment 3 times to keep it from falling into the creek because we just kept losing more and more embankment. And as you look at the bottom picture and you can see the excavator and the riprap going in on the side of that embankment, you get an idea of how truly deep this is. And these are one additional staging picture of what it looked like in construction and then what it finally looked like. What's significant about this particular project is we used up all the large rock at Martin Marietta fixing this one bridge. So then we had to wait for them to mine more rock for us to finish the rest of the bridges. I also always like to add the public service note when I talk about this bridge. I do know that the school kids in Waverly like to play under and around this bridge, and I do know that on occasion they have shimmied that bottom girder to that pier and will hang their shoes on it. It's something the kids do. If you live in the area, anything you could do to discourage that. It is a 28-foot drop from the top of that pier to the bottom of the water, and I'm not really sure if you fell off that you would make it. I wanted to include a map, and I couldn't quite get it detailed enough on the presentation for you to see what it is. But this is the map, the 2016 map of all of our completed projects last year. It is the first map that's shown over here on what is your right side of the room. What's significant about this map is anything shown in blue, those are all projects that we had not budgeted for and not anticipated, but repaired due to the flooding. And I really want to give a heartfelt thank you to all of my employees, some of who worked on Saturdays, many who worked late nights to make sure that these roads could be repaired so that we could get our FEMA reimbursements and so that you could use them as the public. And I think when you look at the larger map, as shown on the screen, you can really see how completely decimated the southwest quadrant of the county was. And that, of course, is the quadrant where we got approximately 13 inches of rain in a very short period of time. Projects proposed for 2017 are Adams Street from the Stevens Creek corridor to 148th Street. I have put about 20 miles of overlay into the plan. However, I do note that that may have to be reduced due to, depending on some of the flood reimbursements. I have Bridge C91 in the plan, and Bridge C91 is really important to us in Lancaster County because it's the bridge located on Raymond Road, just west of First Street. It has slightly under 1,400 cars a day on it. On a 0 to 100 sufficiency scale, this bridge is rated a 27. A 27. So it is the worst bridge we have in the county. If you drive over this bridge in the winter, you know it experiences frost heave, and sometimes it will raise or lower as much as 6 inches. In addition to that, though, one of our challenges with this bridge is going to be that it is in endangered tiger beetle habitat and endangered saltwort habitat. In addition to that, we have a new endangered animal that's been identified this year in Lancaster County called the long-eared brown bat, which they thought it may exist in Lancaster County, but we'd never had confirmation of it until they opened the brewery at Robbers Cave. And so they did confirm the bat's presence. For whatever reason, Commissioner Shore, the recent bat studies show that it's really the southwest quadrant of the county that is rich in bats.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Betty.
Sorry about that.
They do eat 10,000 mosquitoes a night on average, and so it's not necessarily a bad thing. But it's going to be a little more challenging for us because they are protected animals. We are planning on doing a lot more culverts this next year than we did the last year. Many of you, if you followed, may recall that I was unable to get the culvert contract out last year due to having to shift priorities with fixing the flooding. And then in addition to that, we do have the permitting in hand for grading approximately 2 miles of North 27th Street. That permitting did take my office over 4 years to get, and so we need to grade that road before that permit expires because I think it would take me longer than 4 years to get it if I started over. Some of the challenges of the next year, I talked last year about this structure, H115. You may note the bridge engineer posing with the structure in the bottom of the channel, just to give you an order of magnitude of the damage to this structure. This is a structure that NEMA, the Nebraska Emergency Management Agency, has given us a grant at a 75% NEMA, 25% Lancaster County to fix. We actually got 2 grants, and then we got a grant for Y181, also at a 75-25 share. But for what? Well, these things become very complex, and once FEMA started pulling back bridge money from the counties to repair some of these bridges, this program that NEMA has became unfunded. And if I start design on these bridges before their program is funded, they disqualify us from the program. So although I dramatically know that these bridges need to be fixed, I don't want to give up on the 75% as taxpayers that I know we can get as a grant. I'm supposed to find out more about that in December, and when I do, I'll make my decision on how to move forward with these. I have several bridges that are noted in the plan as standby. I do have photos of each one, and if it's requested, I have a separate PowerPoint with those in that I can go over those with you or with the commissioners. Here is the map, which is located to your right, and it's the middle map, I believe, because my glasses don't quite go that far, that shows the improvements that I have just gone over with you. Then if I'm to look out towards 2018 to 2022, I would look at paving the shoulders of Saltillo Road. We are looking at a match program with the state of Nebraska to help us with the area that will be untouched by the South Beltway project. In addition, we would be looking at paved shoulders on the 1.5 miles of 68th Street into Hickman. We would also be looking at additional pavement on 54th Street, Bluff Road, 98th Street. We have the mile of 98th Street that we need to grade between A and O. We also have Bridge F88, which is just north of the city of Lincoln on North 14th Street. And we'll continue to have some planning issues with the south and the east beltway. And here is the map that shows, and I just kind of shot it right in the middle. There wasn't any projects towards the far north or the far south. And that map is the map shown closest to the window on your right-hand side. I do want to say that I also did something a little different this year with the 1 and 6, and that's that last year I felt that when we had the public hearing, we didn't really have the chance to have dialogue. I didn't have the chance to have a dialogue and really have a conversation with you about the improvements that you felt passionate about, because it's a hearing and you come forth and you state your case. I am one of those people, you know, I am your county engineer, I am elected, that I do want to have a dialogue with you. So we sent invitations out to the quadrants of the county, to all of the villages, and I held 1 and 6 kind of mini meetings in order to have a dialogue with Malcolm, Denton, Hickman, and Waverly. Now, it's interesting, as I went to each small town, nobody told me that like they didn't want to add anything to my plan. So Malcolm requested that we continue to look at replacing Bridge E38, which is the bridge to their wastewater treatment plant. We know that that is a bridge that is also in need of some work. And then Malcolm is looking to do some joint pavement projects with the county, and we look forward to doing that. As well as they've asked some questions about state rec roads and what we can do to relieve them of some of the maintenance responsibility for a major road that goes through their town. Denton had concerns about the rail crossing outside of town, and we've heard those concerns before. And then in addition, they have concerns about Bridge N114, which is their only way to get to their water treatment plant. Hickman requested pavement of 68th, 54th, and 82nd. So we'll have to continue to work on that as they grow. Waverly has asked to replace the viaduct, which was built with RTSD money, mainly because there is no safe path for their children to get to school, and I think it's important that we acknowledge that and try to continue to help that city with a safe route to school. But in addition, Waverly's also asked that Fletcher or Alvo be considered as a new truck bypass. There was a number of years ago that we did some paving on Amberley Road, but now that they have 3 schools that access and off of Amberley Road, there's concerns that that might not be the best place for truck traffic. So, with that, I will pass the meeting back to you,
Okay,
Commissioner Amundson.
okay, well, thank you so much. Thanks for that, that rundown. That was very good. Okay, I guess we'll take this time now to go forward with the hearing. And so if we would have the first 4 people to come forward?
Okay, the first 4 to sign in are Nadine Link, Nathan Habe, Brad Wertz, and John Cummings.
If you would just come up to be sworn in.
Okay, if you'd all raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
If you would like to, 3 of you,
Yes.
if you would like to take a chair, and then 1 person remain standing to, I think we have reserved seats right back there. So if you would like to come, however, okay.
Can you sign in?
Yes, please. Are you together?
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Good? Okay.
all right.
My name is Nathan Habe, and this is Nadine Link. I'm on the village board of the Village of Malcolm. Nadine is our village clerk. And as Pam mentioned before, we submitted a letter requesting some improvements or replacements of, first of all, the bridge on 105th, right by our sewer plant. It's our main access to there. Our village maintenance man goes there every day to do his thing. It's also used by the volunteer fire department, post office, school bus route. There's over 300 games a year played on the Malcolm Ball Field that also is used, that road, to get access to that field. Farmers to get to their fields. Lutheran Church uses it for their cemetery, as well as homes developing on south of there on 105th. It'd be quite a detour for people to get around to that part of, south of Malcolm, if that bridge were to be, closed. The second thing we had was, we asked that the Malcolm Road be reclassified as a recreational road, similar to Northwest 112th. It gets just as much, if not more, traffic from boats and RVs as Northwest 112th. And that would kind of alleviate some of the funding that would need to be, just from the county, just from the village. The state then could be involved with resurfacing that. We also do have an interlocal agreement on that road with the county already. The third thing we had was Northwest 84th. We would request that be paved from Adams Street all the way up to Malcolm Road. It's heavily trafficked by school kids, and once it gets wet and muddy, it's a pretty dangerous road to be on, especially with the high rate of speed that a lot of people travel on that road. So that would be one that we would request to get paved. And finally, we would also request that the rest of East Street.
What street?
East Street,
East.
or 105th.
Okay.
On the east side of Malcolm, be paved up to Bluff Road, and then Bluff Road paved over to the Malcolm School. North side of Malcolm School is where there's also a driveway for the high school kids that drive in. That would kind of alleviate some traffic through town as well. So.
The only thing I would add is on Malcolm Road.
Can you get closer to the,
The only thing I would add is on Malcolm Road, it's 8 blocks that we have within our village limits. And the state does spur 55 that comes into Malcolm, and they will not allow us to piggyback because they do it in-house. And so we've been talking with Pam to see if we can piggyback on with them when they do 112th. And we did send in a letter of commitment in 2015. That road, we've cold patched it for years and years, and it really needs an overlay. It's really getting bad right now. And it seems like possibly 112th could be put on the back burner, and to get the equipment out just to do 8 blocks is very, very expensive for us. So
okay.
we're real anxious to see if we can get 112th overlaid so that we can piggyback on. But if we can turn that into a rec road, that would help a lot, because there is a lot of campers, boats, and that go through there.
Oh, Larry?
I tend to agree with you. M55 is kind of a cutoff from Highway 34. It's the shortest distance to the lake. Have you pursued this? Is it quite a task to get it named a rec road? I'm surprised that it wasn't in the beginning 30 years ago, but have you done any research on it to find out what steps it would take to make that a rec road?
Where it was just, in our meeting with Pam, it was mentioned then by her, so that's the, kind of the first we thought of even doing it. So we didn't know that that was even a possibility until she mentioned it in our meeting, so.
That's the kind of expertise that we are finding from our new county engineer. Lots of things like that we didn't look at before, as far as funding blacktop into the schools or educational facilities.
Thank you.
And the other reason too, we had a bar out there that's been closed for over 7 years, and that will be opened again. And that is the only restaurant in that area that Pawnee Lake uses, that Branched Oak Lake uses, unless they go over to Raymond for the Dingling. So it will be a road that will be traveled a lot,
And more so.
so.
Nadine, what is the normal traffic count through town?
We have not done one for quite a while.
Just curious.
I would be interested to see also what the count is from coming down
From
Spur
the spur
55
up
that
to
goes
112th,
to
yeah.
112th. And maybe that would be our next step to get a traffic count on it, but it's been years since we've done one.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Evening, Commissioners. My name is Brad Wirtz. I guess we'll sign in. Is that correct?
You're fine.
Okay. My concern is on North or South First Street between Pioneers and Old Cheney. They did a Wilderness Park study, and they's about 1999, and they's planning on closing Old Cheney Road at that time and redoing Pioneers, the bridging on that. And I was wondering, since the city does the maintenance on Pioneers or the park, where's the county? It's still in the county part. So First Street is actually taken care of by the county and is widened to be paved a while back. And I was wondering if that's ever going to get on the plans to get paved, because that would be that only between Pioneers and Old Cheney. It's only access between the two. Especially, I don't know how soon they're planning on doing anything with Old Cheney at all. The bridge and it's closing the road at the railroad tracks, I guess, was the plan at some time.
Okay.
And so,
We'd have to check that out. Okay.
all right, thanks. But again, the First Street is probably the interesting one to get paved. We'd like to have that
The
paved.
First Street. Okay.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
My name is John Cummings, and I attend Lincoln City Church, which is on that stretch of road on South First Street between Van Dorn and Old Cheney. And
Can
I
you speak
guess-
into the mic, please?
Pardon? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry. Didn't know I had that soft of a voice. As I understand, this street has been up to be paved for about 15 years. And I think that most churches bring a big benefit to a community. And I would just like this to be kind of remain a top priority. I again understand that it has been in the past, but it kind of gets shuffled to the bottom of the list sometimes. So that's the only thing I had to request.
Would you give that street name again? You were standing away from the mic at the time. So what is that street?
South First Street,
Okay, South First Street?
yes, between Van Dorn and Old Cheney.
Okay, South First.
Okay,
First Christian?
pardon?
First Christian Church?
Lincoln City Church.
Lincoln City Church,
Lincoln
okay.
City Church, yes.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next four is Peggy Brown, Diane Heitbrink, Gary Keck, and Pastor Solo Mwanya. Okay, if you want to raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Good evening. My name is Peggy Brown. I live at 11700 North 176th Street. First of all, I want to thank you for paving Bluff Road, and according to my spies, they're supposed to be done in 2 days. I hope so. But I am the laughing joke of Waverly because after I worked so hard to get Bluff Road paved, I can't use it because my bridge is closed. And I'm getting teased quite a bit around Waverly, which is fine. You know, it's better they pick on me about that than anything else. But I can't get to my crops, and I've got 100 acres that need to come out. Lonnie Johnson farms my land. He can't get over to it because of the bridge being closed and Bluff Road. So as soon as Bluff Road's open, if it takes 2 weeks, he should be able to get over there. This is bridge which you have teased me enough or trained me to call Bridge 120. You also have to...
H120.
H120, sorry.
It's okay.
I just call it 120. You also told me you wanted to close H119. H119 is the end of my mile. My problem is, and I'm here for a lot of people here tonight because the farmers are in the field before it rains. I got 2 families that live between those 2 bridges. There's no way you can close it because I got school buses, I got fire departments, I got safety issues right and left out there. When that bridge got closed, it was a very big surprise. I came home one day late and it was closed. I couldn't believe it. Wasn't surprised, but I couldn't believe it. I had to get on to get my mail. I had to call. I had to call to get my garbage restarted. I had to call to get my Lincoln paper restarted. I even had to call the fire department. Now, fire department was getting notices about this, and they have them in their trucks. But firemen, like everybody else, when they get in a call and they get in a fire truck, they have that thing called tunnel vision. And all they think is, I got to get out to the Brown farm. So I'm trying to get them trained. Don't go Bluff Road. Even though that's going to be a really nice road, you're going to have to come down Highway 6 to Waverly Road to get to me. I have one way out. I do not feel secure out there. Right now, everybody's complaining about traffic. I would give you $10 for hearing one car because I have not had any trouble with traffic by. Right now, though, my main concern is I got to get my crops out and safety issues, and I got to have a bus because I got the cutest little 3rd grader living down the road from me, and I don't want her hurt. So thank you. By the way, I work for the Waverly paper, and you guys have been wonderful to write a column about, so I really thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Diane Heitbrink. I live on 1601 North 98th Street, and I'm going to request paving on 98th Street between Holdridge and Adams. The traffic on that road, since we've lived there for over 25 years, has increased. We really, right now, even have what I consider rush hour traffic. And I know the county's done a count study on the road at least twice. So, lots of very fast traffic. A lot of city traffic. Thank you.
Well, thank you, yes.
Right. My name is Solo Mwani, actually Solomon, but Solo is easier. When you're Solomon, people expect you to say something really profound, but so anyway, I'm the pastor at Lincoln City Church, and I'm calling, I'm here in regards to that 1 mile stretch between Old Cheney and Pioneers, Pioneers. I know that we've been on the radar. We sit on 26 acres with a lot of development plans in the future, but the road has really limited our ability to expand. We're very involved in the community. We represent people from every walk of life in this city, a very diverse congregation in terms of demographic and economic, at all levels, ages. We have from great-grandparents to the youngest kids. We've had a school, daycare, and everything there. But we've had to peel back our midweek activities. We had to peel back a lot of activity And because of the road situation, the paving, as well as the lighting. There's a lot of vandalism that takes place around the area. We're always struggling with people coming into the parking lot and experiencing with their UIs and whatever they want to do. But we feel like if we would get some attention on the road, that we would be better, this community would be served better because of the passion that we have for the city of Lincoln. The county has tracked the traffic there, and that works a lot to our disadvantage because it's been the practice to put the truck on Mondays and take the trucks on Friday. And so the activity on the road doesn't really give it justice, the amount of people that 1 mile stretch are impacted by it. And so I'm calling upon you to reconsider that 1 mile stretch. I know we had made some progress in the past. We've been there again for 15 years. Someone else cited that. A very vibrant community in the city, and we are doing a lot in the city and have a lot in plans, but we are greatly limited by access. So again, I want to thank everyone and highlighting all the good work that the commissioner is doing for the county, and I'm here to just petition that you would reconsider that 1 mile stretch to get it paved for our community. Thank you very much.
Deb, excuse me.
A question and a comment. You
Ma'am.
mentioned you had to cut back on activities with regards to church programming. What types of activities have you had to cut back on?
Okay, so we have had, in the past, we've had a lot of midweek activity and classes that target young people, children after school. And we believe that when families are intact, we provide programs for couples, young marriage, and families. So we've had to do a lot of these classes on Sunday mornings or Sunday after church because we are concerned about the safety of families coming in and night out. Mm-hmm. And so what we've been doing to kind of improvise on that is encouraging more small group relationships. So church activities during the week would happen in homes. But ideally, we would like to do more programs that target families. We think that the families are the bedrock of the community, and the church plays a big role in that. And so it's not very, so then we, with Sundays, we're also fighting with other sports activities, and so it makes it just very challenging to engage families on a weekly basis. So, and I feel like because most of our activities is concentrated on a weekend, when we have the truck, it really doesn't do it justice in terms of what the road means. And it's only a 1 mile stretch for that. The other thing is that we've had a school there and we've had daycare there, but we kind of, one of the things we peel back on those things is the road was really a big motivation for us. So it's really, we've sat on there for a long time. So. Okay. That's
okay,
kind
then
of
my
the
second
picture.
one is, we don't get to see a lot of young people that come to the 1 and 6 road hearing, so you must have some guests here with you.
Yes, so these are my 3 oldest children. I have 4 at home right now, so 7.
Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good for kids to know that roads just don't come. They're hardworking people like you and the staff here today, which is a great treat that it takes people to get a community working, and we do absolutely appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you
for being here.
Okay, the next 4 are Scott and Marcy Hayes, Tim Haruza, and Carrie Schultz. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Hi, I'm Scott Hayes. I live on 9800 Brigham Road. This is my wife, Marcy. And I just had a few questions on how many cars does it take on the traffic count to get a road paved or looked at daily?
I don't.
Defer
I have
that to
no
the
idea.
expert.
So what we really do is we look for counts that are higher than 300
A day?
a day.
Okay.
So what you heard me talk about in our need for 32 miles of pavement, that would be the locations that we have counts that are higher than 300 currently. We have had counts as high as just under 1,000 at the stretch of road on 98th Street that we just had testimony on.
Okay. Can we request
Okay,
a?
this is, if you, just state what your request is.
Oh, I'm requesting that 98th and Brigham Road would get paved. The 98th, from what I understand, used to be the old Highway 2 coming into Lincoln to the town of Cheney. And that road has asphalt in the road now. And the road grader does a great job. I don't know if we need the guy that won the award to come over. But now that the LES substation is going to be put in there, and 84th is closed, and I was just wondering if we could request a traffic count for Brigham Road and see where that's at so we can get this road on the radar to get paved.
Well,
We do traffic counts all over the county. We rotate them so that all of them get counted theoretically every 5 years, but we can look at doing a count of this area.
Okay.
But the one thing I'd like to point is that 84th is closed right now, so 98th, this is actually really probably a temporary surge.
It could be, but I'm worried about when the LES substation comes in too. Is that, all that traffic gonna stay on
No idea.
Rokeby?
Okay, that would be one of the concerns that you want to make, that you are concerned about that, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, any other points?
No, I didn't know if, can we get a petition signed by neighbors in that area to maybe look at this a little bit harder?
You could certainly get a petition going.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that would be certainly something that you could do. It just really depends a lot upon what the decision of the engineer is. But I
Understand.
mean, you are citizens and you have every right to do that.
Okay, and can we request the traffic count then on Brigham Road?
I would imagine that we could, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, well, I thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Mhm.
All right.
Hi, I'm Carrie Solomon Schultz. Hi, Deb. How are you?
Good to see you.
About 14 years ago, you told me that we might be getting our road paved.
Things have
Winter.
changed a lot out there,
Yeah, I
haven't they?
know, but I went to the other people that were here for Bregan Road. And it is true, Bregan Road is a mess because there was that underlayment of the asphalt. And so it's just a horrible washboard. It's really hard to grade that road. And it's always just such a mess, and tears your cars up. But I'm basically here to speak about 98th Street off of Saltillo that comes north into Cheney. Bregan is part of that sort of bypass that you take when you turn off of Saltillo and you go north. And then it kind of becomes Bregan Road, and then you go into Cheney. I would love to see that road paved, and I'll tell you why. Just this morning I was teaching a voice lesson to one of my students who uses that road, and she said she almost ran over a little kid on a bike because the dust on the road is so bad. And so I thought, I got to get to this meeting and talk about the situation with the danger of that road. There was one time when I wanted to turn left into my to my house, and I was afraid to turn because the dust was so bad that I knew the car behind me wouldn't see my brake lights on, so I went on down the road and then turned in and came around. And it's just that kind of danger. We have so much traffic on that road. We have 2 landscaping businesses that have moved into Saltillo, and right at the section where Saltillo turns and goes north up 98th, there's 2 landscaping businesses, and they have these huge trucks, and they just tear up the road and just keep it in a constant state of mud. And I have to say that the people that grade our road are wonderful. When I call, they are out there doing what they can do. Another concern sometimes with that when they grade the road is they make these great big windrows. I think that's what they call them on the side of the roads. And I had a student once hit that and flip her car over. Yeah. So, I mean, it is a dangerous road. A lot of people, myself included, sometimes go down it a little bit too fast. And again, as the previous people right before you said, when that LES moves in there with potential, I think they said 222 employees. And then the new school, Marilyn Moore, will be opening up. Of course, you know there's lots of big box stores out there and huge apartment complexes. The Catholic Church and the Catholic school are all out in that area. So I have no idea what the traffic on 98th is going to be eventually when all these things really get going. But I think for safety reasons, I would really like you to think about paving 98th North off of Saltillo into Cheney, and particularly Bregan Road, which can get really bad. Let's see. I think I hit most of what I wanted to say. I don't know if there's any questions that you have. I did see, I think it's like a black, I don't know, you laid across the road and do a count. Is that what it is? I have seen a couple of counts in the past couple of years, so I know that you're maybe looking into it, but Roma, I enjoyed talking to you on the phone.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you also.
Appreciate all your valuable information.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for coming.
Good evening. My name is Tim Haruza. That's Timhruza. I live here in Lincoln, but I'm appearing today in my role as legal counsel for the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Let me first begin by thanking County Engineer Pam Dingman for all the hard work that she's done over the last couple of years with the challenges that we've faced throughout the county, and specifically with regard to the weather-related events that I think have thrown a real curveball at this board. I would also like to thank the board for all the hard work that you guys have done over the last few years in managing a budget and handling and maintaining our county infrastructure in a responsible and a fiscally constrained way. We really appreciate that. That having been said, LIBA appeared before this board a few weeks ago with regard to a specific legislative priority that you guys have chosen to pursue during the upcoming legislative session of the Nebraska legislature, and that would change a specific statute and change the financing mechanism available to this board for county bridge repair. Now, I don't want to downplay the importance of the challenges that we face with regard to infrastructure, but I am here to renew our call and our request that the county not pursue the issuance of bonds to make some of these infrastructure repairs without first having had those bonds and that debt issuance approved by the voters of the county. LIBA has a longstanding policy that we believe that if we're going to finance projects, outlaying public debt, committing future tax dollars, that it should be done so with the support of the community, that a consensus should be obtained among the voters, and that we should pursue it in that manner. So I'm here tonight again to request that you guys reconsider the decision to pursue that statutory change, and as you prepare the future plans with how we deal with our bridges and our roads, that a financing mechanism related to bonds, if that's the decision that this board wants to make and that's the community consensus that we would like to pursue, that we do it through a conversation and through approval of the voters. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I thank you for your time tonight.
All right, Tim, thank you. Oh, excuse me, Todd?
Yeah, so I was the lone commissioner that expressed concerns about that legislative proposal. So I guess my question, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to discuss the proposal with your membership, but I guess my question would be, are they, if you have, is there an objection to the concept of bonding for infrastructure, or is it just the fact that the bonding without a vote of the public?
Thank you, Commissioner Wilchin. Our position is not in opposition to any proposal related to bonding for infrastructure projects. And in fact, to be candid with you, we have a number of members of our committees, a number of members in LIBA who have said, hey, maybe we should consider that option. That having been said, we're not ready to endorse such an option, but we have no objection to considering it and having a conversation about bonding for certain infrastructure projects if the plan makes sense. Our objection to this statutory change in particular is that it really does represent a fundamental statutory change in what that particular provision of state statute was meant for. We believe that that provision, the bonding provision that is given to the county for the construction of buildings, is more of a way of the state to allow the county to function appropriately in some of the things that it provides in terms of state-related services. Providing a courthouse, for example. It's a decades-old statute that allowed counties to make sure that they could provide jails and facilities without worrying about kind of some of those financial constraints that the voters might place on you. This expansion expands that authority and frankly limits that to 3 people on a county board making the decision about future public debt and taxes and how those are spent too. So our position would be, if bonding is the decision that this board, with the assistance of the county engineer, with the assistance of others that are interested and involved, and the community believe that pursuing bonding is the right and appropriate manner to do it, that pitch be made to the voters who are going to be on the hook for those future payments. Does that make sense? I appreciate your question.
Yes, makes sense to me.
Deb?
One question, you talked about courthouses and jails or correctional facilities, which are public safety and public infrastructure. How are bridges, which are a public safety type, public transportation, public benefit, how do you see that as different?
Well, I think that infrastructure in general, and the state of Nebraska, I understand, and I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn, but I understand that the state of Nebraska tends to shy away from using bonds for infrastructure projects. I don't think the state does that. But I do think that generally bonding, which would be the borrowing of money to complete the projects, at least from the state standpoint, has typically gone to a vote of the people. And LIBA believes that's the way it should be done. Infrastructure projects, at least at this point, and again, I may be speaking ahead of myself, but LIBA does not necessarily believe that infrastructure projects are the type of projects that fall within that general underlying purpose of what that statute was intended to provide. It really does create a loophole around that typical process that you pursue when you decide to take on public debt, which is the taxpayers should have a direct voice in how that debt is issued.
Sometimes our bridges last longer than our jails, though.
Certainly have.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yep.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, the last 4 people signed in: John Lionberger, Paula Peterson, Natalie McCormick, and Dave Watts. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Decision making.
Hi, I'm Dave Watts. I live at 1701 North 112th, and I have a business in Waverly at 13351 Dover Street. I'm here tonight. First, I just want to say I appreciate the efforts that County Engineer Pam and the commissioners have made this year with the challenges with the roads. It's ongoing, but it's getting better. I'd like to talk a little bit about 112th Street. 2016, early this year after the flood, we experienced the closing of the bridge south of Holdridge on 112, about a half mile from my place. That was closed much of the spring, was open for a couple months, and then county found a problem with the bridge at 112th and Alvo Road, just south of Alvo. Alvo? Yeah, it's still closed. Yeah, it's still closed. So on 112th, and I use 112th into Waverly. It's really the best connection to Interstate 80, and I use it south. So I understand it's nothing you guys could foresee or be prepared for. And we're dealing with it, that's fine. But I wanted to talk a little bit about 112th. And I want you, I think it's been on the 1 and 6 for 2 or 3 years now. I would ask you to continue to give that consideration. It remains still the quickest connection to the interstate. It dumps out right at the Waverly interchange, about 1/8 of a mile west of the interchange. It's a quick, easy access point for people from East Lincoln, Southeast Lincoln, that don't want to travel down 84th or drive back to 84th. It's a really good access road to the interstate. Right now, I think the vehicle count on that road, I think Pam had another count done a year ago, and it was around 450 or 60 cars. And it's been running, and that's between Adams and O. And it's been running that for several years. That road experiences a lot of heavy truck traffic. I know Pershing uses it a lot, Corey uses it, Vogt uses it, Millard Lumber uses it as a main road to South Lincoln, so they don't have to go down 84th. Miller Landscaping has their business out at 112th and Adams. A couple of things that have happened in the last year is Lineberger Veterinary Services purchased Trudy's dog kennel, which had been closed, basically shut down for a couple of years. He's reopened the kennel, which is in the last year, which has surely added 20 to 30 cars, I think conservatively, to the traffic on 112th. Lineberger Vet Services, and John can speak a little about it, but they have a submission in front of the Lincoln Lancaster Planning Department to move their facility out there between Holdridge and Adams. So their vet clinic will be built out there, which is going to add, John may know, but it's probably going to add another 30 cars a day to the road. So I think conservatively speaking, I think we'll be over 500 cars per day on that road within the next year or two. I would like you guys to continue to give that consideration. I know we hate the dust too. The traffic's fast. It is everywhere. But I think the traffic counts are increasing and going to continue to increase in the next couple of years. So I'm just here to, again, ask consideration for 112th between at least O and Adams. Also, Pam has said that you're paving Adams to 148th from 98th, which is going to be another increase to traffic on 112th, undoubtedly. So, careful what you wish for. That's what they've told me. But it would be nice to see a couple miles get paved, at least to get us started on 112. One of the things Waverly, the Cannon Gate Bridge, that I believe Pam said the county is taking ownership of that. And I've spoke about that, I think, the last 2 years I've been here. Waverly has no access across Highway 6 or the railroad, except for that bridge, unless it's a grade level crossing. So I would really like to see something done there. That bridge, sorry, Roma, but that bridge is on a bit of a skew and a curve, which is, I think, very dangerous for the kids of our community.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Larry?
Yes, Mr. Watts, want to thank you for helping work out access to our ground that we had over there, that when the interstate was widened, why it kind of limited that access, and I appreciate you working with county engineer and the county attorney to get that worked out.
Thank you for working with me. I'm not totally unreasonable, Larry.
I know that. And I agree with you on Northwest 112th. And it's also a back door into Lancaster Event Center. You know, a lot of people could go up that way and then across on Havelock
It would take
Avenue.
a lot of
so-
traffic off 84th going
A lot
into
of
the event
traffic.
center.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi, I'm John Lionberger, and as Dave mentioned, have just recently purchased Trudy's, the dog motel out there. We are getting ready to move our vet facility out there also. And we've, I think when the last count was done was when Trudy's was closed. Since then, we've been seeing probably 15 to 20 cars in and out of Trudy's every day. When we do move our vet facility out there, hopefully next year, we're expecting probably another 30 to 40 cars per day to be coming through. So we would be, I guess, interested in seeing that road paved also. So I just basically in support of the paving of it. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, and my name is Natalie McCormick, and thank you for all of the work that you guys do. I know there's limited resources and lots of needs. My husband and I live in Waverly. We are at on Montrose Court, and I use that bridge on Canongate multiple times a day, and I would not let my kids walk across it. It was definitely too dangerous. There are kids that do walk across, but my main purpose for coming today, however, is we are planning to build a house at 190th and A Street sometime next year. And currently, we're going to have 145 acres right on that corner. Currently, the stretch of 190th Street between O and A is dirt. It's not even gravel, it's just dirt. And so, obviously, you know, when it rains, it's a mess. The mudders get in there. It's not used very much, so there's trash that's dumped, even more than a normal gravel road that happens on. We have several fields that can only be accessed off of 190th Street. Our driveway will actually be off of A, but there are several fields that we cannot get to because of the creek and a wetland area that we have to access off of 190th. Let's see. We also have noticed, since we've been going out there preparing for next year's, our house next year, that even when it's been dry, like just recently in the past few weeks, even when it's dry, the road is almost impassable. I did notice recently it was graded, so it's a lot, much better. The guys did a good job. But for a long time, it was like a pond right in the middle of the road. So, and even with my husband in his four-wheel drive, he could not get around. You had to practically go in the ditch. So I didn't have a prayer of getting through with my van. So I know, as you guys know, Lincoln's going to be moving east quickly. This is at 190th is getting pretty close to Eagle. Mm-hmm. It's obviously in between O and A Street. There's a lot of traffic. There was a big race, the market-to-market race just a few weeks ago, and my husband was out there, and there were hundreds of minivans going by on A Street. That road was not passable at all. So, so basically, we were requesting gravel, and I don't know what that would entail. There possibly could be some work on bridges and a couple culverts as well. So we're not sure exactly what that would entail. I have talked to the Cass County. This is the Cass County, Lancaster County line. So I've talked to the Cass County engineer. He said they are very much in favor of getting gravel on that. It sounds like a Cass County commissioner was also very interested in getting that gravel. Don't know how much communication there is there, or and actually I'm not even sure who is responsible for that stretch, because I don't know if does it go every other mile, or is it every other half mile?
It actually is a mile and a half, yeah.
It depends, okay. So that's why I heard two different opinions on that, so that would explain that. So we would just like to speak up and say and request that that be checked, and at least get it on the agenda, that there be gravel and some improvements on that road.
And I do have to admit, I pulled my son out. He was mudding on 190 at that one time.
He's one of them.
That was many years ago.
There's a lot of them. They get out there, and
Statute of
it's a mess.
limitations expired, right?
Statute of limitations expired, yes. Okay, yeah, several years ago. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Paula Peterson. I'm one of those pesky farmers north of Waverly. I understand the constraints that you have with your budget. I'd like it to be known that we are going as farmers. We have additional costs when we're having to take vehicles around the bridges that are closed. We're also causing safety issues as far as I'm concerned. This year, we have a small bridge on 141st Street between Rock Creek Road and Agnew that was closed this year. We had to change our exit from our field onto Agnew Road, so we were parking semis on Agnew Road to get the crops out of the field this year. We've got kids coming home from school, not used to seeing semis parked on the side of the road. We had kids fishtailing to stop to get around. I also have grandkids that are living on the corner of 112th and Agnew Road, and the Agnew Road between 112th and 98th is also closed, that bridge, so the kids of the school buses are going out. So we as farmers are taking additional costs for our equipment. We're putting our equipment on roads that probably it shouldn't be on to drive around to get around to fields. We took combines down to Eagle today, and we're having to go on Highway 6 because 162nd is closed. We don't feel comfortable with that. I realize that you do everything you can to make it better for us, but I think we're causing more safety hazards by our equipment being where it shouldn't be. That's all I've got.
Larry?
On some of those low-impact roads where they're farm-to-market roads or access to ground, and I think by state law, we have to provide a road to your property so that you can access it. But would you or your neighbors, do you think you'd be willing to consider low water crossings or something like that other than major bridges? These bridges are up to $2 million apiece, and is there some alternatives that might work in those situations?
I know on our 141st, there'd be no reason at all you couldn't do that. Literally, it's us, our cows, and the FedEx guy. I wouldn't even call it minimum maintenance road. This is, but as it is, we've got cows on each side of the creek that in order to check cows, you actually have to drive around the section to get to. So, I mean, for us on the 141st, that would be a very good alternative. On Agnew Road, I don't think you'd want to try to do something like that.
No, that's pretty well traveled.
That's too much of a traffic. But
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else?
That was all that was signed in.
Okay, there may have been some people who have come into the room too late to sign up. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
one more, okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. I actually signed in before outside, but I was listening, so.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mine will be fairly short, and I've talked to
Can you
Pam.
identify yourself?
My name is Gary Cook, and I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, but I own a lot of land in Lancaster County. I have kind of a question. Pam's been very helpful in helping me try to figure out what's going on. The project that's on North 27th Street, north of Arbor Road up to Waverly Road.
Okay, Arbor too.
The thing that I definitely don't understand about it is that it's a very high priority, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I don't believe that road has really traveled that heavily and it's not in that bad a shape. The situation I don't understand is, and Pam has explained it to me and possibly you as commissioners can explain it, why the county is required to pay for 60-foot right-of-ways going north of Arbor Road all the way to Waverly Road. And that falls within the 3-mile, jurisdiction of the city of Lincoln, but it doesn't seem quite right to me that the county is continually buying right-of-way, 60-foot right-of-way. So you got 120 foot across there. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And I know Pam is after me right now to sign up, so she doesn't have to take me to condemnation through eminent domain. So we're working on that. But can anybody explain to me why it requires 60-foot right-of-ways? That's
have
really wide.
Yeah.
That would be for
That's
the
an engineer
interlocal
problem.
agreement that this
Lincoln.
commission, this commission made with the city of Lincoln in 2006 for the RUTS program, the Rural to Urban
Oh.
Transition section.
That's program. Okay.
It seems to me, because I kind of deferred talking because I wanted to listen to everyone else, and I thought there sure is a lot more serious things going on in Lancaster County that need repair than taking North 27th Street, which isn't really in that bad a shape, and spending money on it, especially making it that wide. If you look at the comprehensive plan for the city of Lincoln and look at it, there's nothing in the 30-year plan for any development out in that area, so I can't understand why you're required to buy 60-foot right-of-ways and take out 58 20-foot tall pine trees of mine. So that's all I have to say, and we're working on it, but I was hoping somebody could answer that. So every time that you're in the 3-mile area and you're going to buy right away, you're going to buy 60-foot right away, right?
For the
Well-
interlocal
For the, if
agreement.
it's RUTS,
I would just point out that we're having a meeting on Thursday, a staff meeting, and one of the topics we're meeting with Mayor Beitler and his chief of staff on a number of transportation issues, and this is one of them, the RUTS program, because this is something that not only we face on North 27th, but there's also other areas, Alva Road up by us, but 98th Street from O to A Street. So that's something that, while in theory was I guess a good concept, the issue was how to pay for it.
I think
And
that's
so-
the main thing, is if you look at your budgets, it's things you're fighting all the time, and I listen to the other people, and they have much more serious problems than anything that I have. So I just thought I would bring that to everyone's attention because I just didn't understand it, so.
yes, Larry?
Well, Mr. Cook, you contacted me earlier on it, and I drove out there, and those beautiful trees that are there, probably 30 to 40 years old, and there's nothing beyond them except the creek where the tiger beetle is, which nobody's going to let you touch anyhow. So I guess my question was to why take that, or if we did have to have the 60-foot right away, why we didn't take more ground to the east and instead of taking those out. So I feel for you. I really agree with you. It doesn't look like it's a very practical thing to do, but as Todd has just said, we do plan to visit with us about the city on several things like this, and these roads seemed like a good idea if we had a reasonable feeling that we were going to need to widen those roads in the future, take enough right away so we didn't have to come back and take somebody's landscaping or something, more for a residential area. And so unfortunately, within the 3-mile limit of Lincoln, that's what city engineer has been asking us for, but it's very, very expensive, and we do plan to visit with the mayor about it, see if we can get some relief.
Yeah, and I guess probably what we ought to do is to explain, do you know what the RUTS means? Rural Urban Transit System? It was kind of a
Rural to Urban Transition section.
Transition, okay. Well, I was close, wasn't I?
Well, obviously, I don't know what it means.
And so anyway, the roads had to be built to city standard. They had to be, the ground had to be determined to city standards, right?
Right.
Although the actual building could be county standards, with the idea that it would be able to be expanded when the city moved that direction.
I think I can understand that, and actually, that would be something I would like to see, is if the right-of-way you're going to end up with anyway, because I don't want to go to district court. But why can't we leave all the pine trees there until it's time to really widen it out?
Little common sense.
Well, that's a question that we'll have to consider.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any other individual? Okay, well, this then,
If there's no one else wishing to provide testimony, I would like to enter into the record a letter from Mr. Craig Larman on behalf of he and his wife Julie, who reside at 12233 West Pioneers Boulevard. Copy of the letter was sent to me as well to Engineer Dingman regarding their concerns about the closure of the bridge at West Pioneers Boulevard at Conestoga Lake. So I will provide that to the clerk, and he was unable to be here tonight.
And I'd like to read a letter from the Malcolm Public Schools. Their girls are in a playoff tonight, so they sent a letter this afternoon addressed to Pam Dingman, a Lancaster County engineer, and the Lancaster County Commissioners. Please accept this letter in consideration on upgrades and improvements to roads within our school district. For the past 4 years, we have had the same request. Please see the paragraphs below. As I pursue old documentation in the previous 1 to 6 year road hearings, it appears that a stretch of West Bluff Road from 112th to 150th were supposed to be completed a couple of different times, 2004 and 2006. Unfortunately, to this day, the asphalt stops halfway between these two roads, just east of the high school driveway. The amount of traffic that uses West Bluff Road to access our campus has increased substantially since 2006. Since our need is heightened and we still do not have a completed road, we are asking that the county commissioners please finish the road. In addition, we are asking that the commissioners and the engineer consider rocking and maintaining the stretch of road from Northwest 112th between West Elvo Road and West McKelvey. This is currently a minimum maintenance road, as it is impossible for us to use our buses on, even though it is a school route. We do not allow them to cross these roads. This action would save our district considerable time, distance, and money. Although the above issues are still a necessity and have not been completed, we feel that there is a pressing need that has come up that supersedes all these other requests. Earlier this year, there was a bridge on one of our bus routes between 27th and 40th, Northwest 27th, Northwest 40th, and McKelvey, that was taken out of service for safety concerns. Per my conversation with the county engineer, timing for fixing this bridge, along with several other bridges in our district which are still in use, may not experience the same fate, is unknown at this time. While all of these requests are important to us, we do feel that the bridge work is the most critical. Please consider each item above, knowing the bridge repair is our #1 priority. Signed, Ryan Terwilliger, Superintendent of Malcolm Public Schools. And I'll give this to the clerk, enter in the record.
and I also have a letter that I received that I will enter into the record. This was written by Tyler Johnson, and he is stating his opposition to paving the stretch of 98th Street between Saltillo and Bregan Road into Cheney. And I will just simply give this to the clerk. Okay? Okay. Well, I will close the public hearing then. And I want to thank you all for your attention and for your participation. It's been very good to bring all of these points to the attention of the commissioners. And I think that we've listened very carefully, we've taken some notes, and it will be something that we can discuss. And Pam?
And in closing, I know that not everyone who's here tonight actually spoke at the mic. I want you to know that we're still interested in hearing from you and your concerns about our county roads. And so please feel free to contact me at the office or via email.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. It's moved and seconded that we adjourn. Any discussion?
Oh, I think Larry.
I had a comment before, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Giddens,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Meeting is
This
adjourned.
is the biggest attendance.